So we had a clear day today, but it's weird. Even on the clear days, the sky doesn't look totally blue. It's got like this light blue, even when they're not spraying. It's a totally clear day. I think that's how saturated and aerosolized our skies are. Anyways, hope everyone's doing well. I haven't done a YouTube video in a while, so I wanted to bust something out real quick. I have 2 strikes on my account, so I haven't been wanting to mess with, I don't know how crazy these thought police are these days, and whatever you post can be construed as, whatever they want, because they, it's just insane the amount of, so I have a lot of cool stuff on my YouTube before all this stuff began, and don't really want to put that in jeopardy. A lot of really cool lives, like had Carol Croft, she sort of revolutionized orgonite by adding quartz and gemstones, and so there's a UFO sightings. I have a really cool white orb, a couple of those sightings. Those were not weather balloons. Have lawful money video that can get you started on that process, and that I can assure you that process does work. So, I've had my big Instagram page taken down twice. Started a new one, they took that one down. So really, everything is on Telegram at this point. If you want to get my take on everything, I base my positions and claims on evidence, things that have evidence, things that I can prove, things that I have firsthand knowledge of, for the most part. So public records requests, FOIAs, you can check out my link tree, which is on my Telegram. And, there's a lot of, this whole thing that's happened the past year, you can't really even say, I think we all know what I'm referring to, but man, it has caused a great divide. I saw a really cool meme the other day, and it was a human, and one road was the Great Reset, and one road was the Great Awakening. And the Great Awakening looked a lot more harmonious and beautiful. And I've had family members. We are completely estranged from my dad, and I've always been really close with my dad. My dad and stepmom have pretty much divorced us, disowned us, because of their inability to think for themselves and to critically think and research, and they trust the media and stuff. And I think that's happened with a lot of families. A lot of people have had this divide, and that's their path. I can't, they're grown adults. If they're going to choose certain things in their life that they think makes them healthy, that's their decision. And we all are grown adults, and all we can do is make informed decision for ourselves. And I've informed myself for the past year, and that's really sharing that information is really what is what will get your accounts in trouble. so you really got to get on Telegram, and I invite everyone to get on there. The thing is, we face some really dark times. If you've studied Agenda 21, Agenda 2030 in depth, and you really know what those are, you'll be able to see through all their buzzwords, like, sustainable development, all these warm and fuzzy buzzwords that you think it's a good thing, right? But it's, what we have to really just understand is that these secret societies, these agents, these criminals have really had this planned out for a very long time. And so there are many oblivious to these agendas because they just haven't put in the work. There's people that know about them, but they don't think they can do anything so they just kind of give up. And then there's those who are undercovering processes that can really help us dig our ways out of this. So what I would want everyone to know is there are groups you can join. There are state assemblies. We're creating new governments based on we the people. And if you'd like to take part in that, there's if you're in California, there's a California State Assembly Zoom call every Wednesday at 6:00. And I implore everyone to get on that call. You'll learn a lot. There's a lot of people who are, that's a call sort of for changing your status and getting out of the jurisdiction of USA Inc., which I think is good. But you could also do something as simple as creating an affidavit of status that declares that you're a man, you're a woman, you are not any sort of title like resident, taxpayer, citizen, and that title places you below governments, below corporations, and so then they would have jurisdiction over you. So, I'm learning a lot on just researching through, Alphonse Fagiolo, Rick Martin, Mark Patelek. So solutionsempowerment.com is Mark Patelek. Alphonse Fagiolo is I Am Has Sent Me to You. It's Kobe. And the other one is Rick Martin at constitutionallawgroup.us. So these are some sites you can look up, and once you study them, you really have to just put some time in. It's challenging. We're all trying to make those Federal Reserve notes, that they're printing out of thin air, which decreases the value even more, but we're all hustling, and we all have families and obligations, and it's really hard to feel empowered. It's hard to feel like there are solutions. There are ways to get out of this. But I'm telling you that there are. And what's working for me is just if I can find an hour or two a day to research this stuff, to put some paperwork together, it's helping tremendously. So if anyone violates your constitutionally protected unalienable rights, there are steps you can take there are lawful steps when you study commercial law and contract law, and those are basically admiralty maritime law, and that's the law of the sea that has been foisted upon us. We're utilizing the land laws of the land, common law, so we're utilizing those processes, and we're also utilizing the laws of the sea, the contract, and those. A lot of times what we see in our society is contract offers. Everything seems to be a contract offer that we don't really know about. And so there's ways to accept contract offers. There's unconditional acceptance, there's conditional acceptance, there's tacit agreement and silence, and then there's argument. So dishonorable ways of accepting contract agreements is arguing and silence. You never want to do that. You always want to be in honor. Stop, Kobe. So we can accept contract agreements conditionally and say, you know what? You want to do this to me in my property? I conditionally accept, and then I'm going to send back a new contract. Contracts are always fluid. And so you could send an affidavit saying I conditionally accept this offer based on using negative affirmance, which is if you can show me evidence that such and such isn't harmful, if you can show me a study that shows that it is harmful isn't true, things like that. We want to always be asking questions and controlling the contract. These are things that are based on commercial law, contract law, and we're utilizing them in common law processes. So all of our courts of record, common law, Article 3, 6th and 7th Amendment, common laws. That's what we have in the United States of America, is common law courts. And so what we want to do is we want to utilize the knowledge of how to control contracts through affidavits and the commercial law process, and put that on top of common law. So we're utilizing both the law of the sea and the law of the land. And you're not taught any of this stuff in school. You're obviously not going to hear about any of this stuff through the media. So you have to put in the work yourself to educate yourself. Once it's in your head, once you got that knowledge, there's nothing they can do to take it away from you. And they're going to try. They're going to try with certain technologies they're rolling out, certain technologies they've had for a while and they've utilized for a while to control brainwaves. And of course, they'll disguise those as things you need and wonderful advancements in technology. But anyways, I recommend looking at these processes and how you can control contracts with anyone who's attempting to violate your rights. So there's many violations of rights happening right now, of civil rights. And these aren't rights that are granted to us by the Constitution. They're unalienable, unalienable. No liens can be placed on these. We have rights that come from the Creator. And when we're men or women, and we know who we are, we're just below the Creator. As far as on the totem pole, we're number 2. And so that places us in a position of power. We have a lot of power. We're more powerful than we know. There's no doubt in my mind. And so when we study commercial law, one thing you can memorize or write down is the 10 maxims of commercial law. And a lot of those have to do with affidavits. And an unrebutted affidavit stands as truth, as fact. So when you send someone an affidavit, when you're counter-offering, when you're conditionally accepting their contract offer for something that you don't agree with, and you're listing down point for point your facts and your truth, using negative averment, and putting the obligation on them to prove that you're wrong, and they don't rebut you, then you have something that stands as truth and fact in court. Now the courts are holding us up. I'm actually dealing with a corrupt judge right now in a federal district court. And so I'm putting together some paperwork for him because he's obstructing justice and tampering with my evidence, tampering with my documents, my affidavits. And so we're just being pulled into this, learning this process. So I'll have more information on that as I go through that process. But I recommend studying the 10 maxims of commercial law. Look up those websites, imhassentmetoyou.com, constitutionallawgroup.us, and solutionsempowerment.com. And just spend an hour or two, just focus on an hour every day and focus on learning how you can control the contract, how to write an affidavit, and things will start to look a little bit more hopeful for you. I promise that. Much love, everyone.